In the headlines, government's housing projects in the north to impact 130 families. Anticipation builds in the north as Prime Minister Scarrett confirms the presence of a replacement for Ross University. And UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says challenges to small island developing states are threatening the Caribbean's way of life. I am Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, over 130 families in the Portsmouth area will soon benefit from housing developments in the north. Prime Minister Scarrett says the secure housing will help ease the anxiety of those who live in less than suitable conditions.
We know that there are many families that are experiencing great anxiety in terms of whether they will live in a home and they know their present condition. So at least tell me, in between Cotton Hill and Portsmouth, you will have 136 families who will know where they stand in respect to home in the next weeks and months. As we realize the construction of these facilities, these homes, we've taken into consideration the weather elements, climatic conditions, hurricanes, seismic activity as well, so that people can feel pretty safe in those homes. Now, this is also first phase of a wider development for Georgetown.
Phase 2 of the Georgetown development will see the construction of commercial buildings.
Part of the second phase will involve additional residencies. It will also involve commercial buildings. We'll have government complexes where all of the various ministries which provide services to the town of Portsmouth, the registry, the treasury, the social security, Ministry of Education. All of these offices will be located here. In addition to that, we'll have a center for the performing arts and cultural activities.
In more top stories, a replacement for Ross University to be announced soon. Ross University set up shop in Picard, Portsmouth in 1978 and left the country's shores 40 years later in August 2018. During the institution's stint in Dominica, it had been credited for a buoyant economic environment in the Portsmouth area for landlords, vendors, and taxi operators, among others. During a site visit to the Cabris Resort Kempinski earlier this week, Prime Minister Scarrett said steps were being taken to have another educational institution establish itself in the north.
We are making progress with our developer, with investor, and we are keeping our fingers crossed that everything will go well. But certainly we will see the resumption of a school on the campus at Picard. So we've signed an agreement. We should finalize the lease agreement in the next week or so. The investors working on all the licenses are required, and once those things are all settled, then I'll be in a position to address the nation on this. But I'm very happy for this, and I thank God for it.
The return of such an institution in the north will greatly benefit the tourism stakeholders and wider northern community.
I'm very happy for the landlords in particular in Portsmouth and all the number of people who benefit directly and indirectly from the presence of Ross then, that the day is back, and very soon they will start benefiting again from the presence of a university in there. And we're not only providing, the university is not only doing medical sciences, there are a number of other courses that they intend to do, similar to what St. George's University has done, move away completely move, diversified rather, not away from, but to include additional courses so that you have a greater opportunity to increase the student numbers, and of course with more students, more benefits will come to those who rely on the campus.
Preparatory works have already begun on the former Ross University compound.
They have employed people already. They're repairing some of the buildings, the air conditioning units. They have employed staff and faculty. So it is very exciting and promising. But I said, let us fine tune the other aspects of it. And then I will be in a position to make some more authoritative statements on this. And of course, the investor will be present. So whatever questions the public would like to file, he will be there as an investor to respond to this. And of course, by then, of course, the dean of the university will also be present, and issues of tuition and programs and courses can be answered by them.
In other developments, major roadworks in the Upper Goodwill and Center Roma areas are said to be progressing smoothly. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Skerrit, along with other government officials, visited the projects to assess their status. Government is spending approximately $5.5 million on road resurfacing, drainage, and driveways where required in the area. Mr. Skerrit commended Minister for Urban Renewal, Joseph Isaac, for pushing forward with this road renovation project, which he says was on the cards for some time. Other enhancements on the cards for the area are improved streetlights and speed bumps in response to concerns by residents there. The roadworks in Upper Goodwill and Roseau North form part of the wider road enhancement project for the country, which will see a number of road improvements in other communities. Meantime, DLP candidate for Roseau North and Minister for Urban Renewal, Joseph Isaac, promised to move aggressively on several sub-projects in the constituency to include specialized activities in Bellevue Roll, Yampis, Tarish Pit, and Faucole. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, remains a key partner in Dominica's efforts at making its agriculture sector more resilient to climate change.
The Food and Agriculture Organization has committed to assisting the Ministry of Agriculture in making that sector more resilient. The FAO is cognizant of Dominica's endeavor to become the world's first climate-resilient nation. Consequently, the concept of resilience is being integrated into efforts to revise Dominica's draft agriculture disaster risk management plan.
This was one of the main aspects of this update and revised plan, the integration of the resilience concept, not only to create a sector which is more strong and able to respond to any natural event, but also to enable people, farmers, fishermen, to be more resilient to this disaster. At the end of the day, the goal is to assist the people on the ground, to make them stronger, more productive, and of course better off. So this is all the idea behind the revision of this plan. Indeed, the UNDP has been a great partner throughout this process. They help us very much in the integration of the gender dimension throughout the revision of the plan, which remain a very important aspect, not only thinking about women, but also youth in agriculture, people with disabilities. So this is what we have tried to really embed as part of this plan.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
Welcome back. Dominica is about to lose another of the experts who came to assist the island's recovery after Hurricane Maria devastated the country almost 2 years ago.
Ian King, a representative of the United Nations Development Programme UNDP, recently hinted that he would soon be reassigned within the region. King spoke at a recent national workshop to review Dominica's draft revised agriculture disaster risk management plan.
I myself have been here for a little while. I arrived not as quickly as Daniele, but I've been on the ground more or less continuously since late September 2017. And so I've had the benefit to see really a lot of the recovery that has happened in Dominica and to live through it. And so I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I have to say that this is perhaps my last event, or one of my last events in Dominica, as I'm reassigned away from here. Fortunately, within the Caribbean context. And so I do want to publicly express my appreciation to all colleagues I've had the chance to work with and support and serve, and look forward to not coming back here after a disaster, because the last 2 times I substantially came here were Erica and Maria, but I'm sure under more pleasant circumstances.
King spoke of how critical it was to have resilience.
Resilience, of course, is not just about making buildings capable to stand up to a category 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever event, but really talking about a systemic approach to how you deal with those types of hazards and how you manage in that. And some of those hazards, of course, there will be impacts, there will be losses, but it is how, as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a country, you're capable of responding and recovering, and that calls for having very strong systems in place, being well prepared, and knowing how to deal with those circumstances.
UNDP has been working collaboratively with the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO to facilitate the disaster risk management plan for Dominica's agriculture.
And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has told the CARICOM heads the uniqueness of voice and the way of life of each of the Caribbean islands is threatened by the challenges that small island developing states face.
The UN Secretary General was CARICOM's special guest at the organization's 40th meeting, which convened in St. Lucia this week. He pointed to climate change and other obstacles to sustainable development, including citizen security, building resilience, and the importance of access to development finance as among the challenges facing Caribbean countries.
As climate-related natural disasters grow in frequency and severity, the risks to families and to development overall will only intensify. And the Caribbean experience makes abundantly clear that we must urgently reduce global emissions and work collectively to ensure that global temperature rise does not go beyond 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. And that is why I'm asking all leaders from government and the private sector to present plans at my Climate Action Summit, or at the latest by December 2020, to cut greenhouse emissions by 45% by 2030 and get to carbon neutrality by 2050.
The challenge of climate change and smaller countries mopping up after larger polluters were also highlighted.
Around 8 million tons of plastic end up in the oceans annually. And in the Caribbean, you see the impact of these pollutions. We need to fight climate change, but we need to fight also against the degradation of oceans that unfortunately we have not yet been able to stop. We all have to act on a daily basis to counter these grave threats to marine ecosystems and the tourism sector that are so central to your economies. From plastic pollution to coastline erosion, more frequent extreme weather events, sea level rise and biodiversity loss, Caribbean states face immense pressure due to the actions that are committed essentially by others.
CARICOM heads were commended for their bold vision to make the Caribbean the world's first climate resilient zone.
The creation of a Caribbean Resilience to Recovery Facility is an important development that should be fully supported. When fully functional, this facility will provide a regionally indigenous mechanism for sourcing talent, experience and financial solutions to support CARICOM members to build resilient communities and nations. And I also must highlight that women are at the heart of the resilience equation. This is true in the Caribbean as it is elsewhere.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
To end the news, the headlines again. Government's housing projects in the north to impact 130 families. Anticipation builds in the north as Prime Minister Skerrit confirms the presence of a replacement for Ross University. And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the challenges to small island developing states are threatening the Caribbean's way of life. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.